This discussion on street sociology is going to focus on masks, okay, and why you should wear one. I know there's some people think that they're not very useful in this context, especially tradespeople have experience with these masks and other types. And while their concerns are valid, I just want to explain why they, in the basic sense, why they work. Okay, and I'm going to use some research I did from the University of California, San Francisco, to look into that. Okay, now some people say that because these sort of masks are inappropriate for, say, something like spray painting or asbestos removal, where you're surrounded by small particles all the time, and that this doesn't really stop them. Okay, they say that there might be limited efficacy in stopping a virus. People often say, "Oh, well, the virus particles are minuscule; they can still get through." Perhaps, but let's consider it a physical barrier. Okay, so if I okay, there's a projection of air that goes X far, but if I stick this on, it just fills this up and slightly fogs up my glasses. So it physically stops the particles traveling in the air, the wet particles. A couple of examples of the efficacy of this. In an American state called Missouri in May, there were two hairdressers who were infected with COVID-19, and they still went to work. They didn't know they were infectious at that point. And the two of them saw 140 clients, obviously close proximity. I don't tend to get many haircuts myself, but for those who do, you know what I mean. Now, there was 0 infections amongst their patients after being in direct contact with the infected person for periods of time. 140 people did that, 0 infections, okay? But if we look at another example from a suburb in Sydney called Casula in Australia, there's a pub there, and one person went to it a few weeks ago, one person who was infectious. Currently, last I checked, there's 30 people who have been infected from that pub now in Casula, from one person not wearing a mask. Okay, so it does stop the projection of the small matter as well. So the University of San Francisco also point out that 80% of the population wearing a mask and having no lockdown would be more effective at slowing transmission of this virus than the hard lockdowns that parts of Australia and the rest of the world have been enduring for months now. It would actually be more effective to do nothing other than wear a mask than be locked down for months in this unpleasant situation. So they really do, they're not the end of it, but they really do offer some good efficacy. So it's not so difficult. I mean, I look like an idiot and whatever, but let's be a little altruistic, you know? I mean, I don't wear it to stop me getting sick. It's not why I wear it. I wear it on the off chance that I have picked up some form of asymptomatic or slightly symptomatic infection when I'm coughing or carrying on. I don't spread it without realizing. That's what it's for. It's not for me. It's for you. You. Okay? And I've had a recent small movement in Australia where persons feel as though the wearing of one of these masks, you know, is an infringement upon their civil liberties. Okay? Namely that we can't be forced by the state to wear a face covering against our will. And this is where this sort of, we've been taught to be selfish through neoliberal economic and social theory for a long time, and this is the results of that. We go, well, I don't want to go to the effort of doing this, like that's hard, so I'm just going to go to the hardware store and cough in and talk in everyone's face without a mask and complain about how my civil rights are being violated. Okay, people that think that wearing a mask is a violation of your civil rights, sit down. It's not. It's not a form of oppression, okay? It's just a simple courtesy, not just to you, but to the people around you in your community, if such a thing actually exists anymore. It does, but some would argue with you. But in any case, think of the people around you, okay? Just wear a mask, okay? It's not so hard. This is not a long video, it's just a basic description of why they offer some efficacy, and it's not the end of the world to wear one. You know, probably we're looking at a vaccine later this year, early next year. It's not so long away, but in the meantime, let's just have some common sense and some respect for the people around us, okay? You think I want to wear this thing? No. But I've seen people on a ventilator. Have you? You want to talk about a violation of your body? Go on a ventilator for a few weeks. Anyway, please, for the sake of all of us, it's only for a few months, wear a mask. Street sociology.